if you think about our ability to work together, to learn together, to be together, utilizing VR, I mean, this is world changing.
Yeah. What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Chai with Faisal. Today we have a very special guest. We have Mr. Vince Jordan, CEO of Lobaki. Come on in.
Welcome. Thank you. Nice to be here.
So this is Mr. Jordan. He's the CEO of Lobaki. It is a virtual reality lab that deals with, the betterment of helping people, especially people that need care, whether it's mental care, physical care. Is that correct? Yep. So, Mr. Jordan, why don't you tell us a little bit about Lobaki and what it does?
So, Lobaki is really two things. One is we're placing virtual reality academies in schools around the country now. We started here in Mississippi, and in the last 2 weeks, we've placed them in Tennessee and Illinois, and by the end of the year, we'll be in 7 states: Alabama, Kentucky, Tennessee, Illinois, Mississippi, and Utah. So we're creating a VR educators network with the VR academies and also training young people to be virtual reality and augmented reality developers. So that's one of the things that Lobaki does. And then the other thing Lobaki does is we're a full-blown VR and AR production studio. So we actually create virtual reality and augmented reality experiences and applications, primarily focused in the areas of healthcare, industrial training, and then education.
So what made you want to start the company, and what made you want to start it in Jackson, Mississippi?
It actually didn't start in Jackson, Mississippi. We just ended up here through a series of divine manipulations. But what made me, so I've been a technologist all my life. That's all I've been doing is working with computers. And I tried on a virtual reality headset at NASA in 1987.
Oh, wow.
And it was horrible. Just move your head a little bit, just make you sick as a dog. And I knew it was going to be great someday. And so I just kept tracking virtual reality. And then in 2012, Oculus released the Developer Kit 1, which was less than horrible, but not something I'd put you in unless I didn't like you. And my son, who's also a co-founder here and the CTO of the company, and I started playing around with the Oculus DK1. Then the DK2 came out, and we knew it was going to be great. We got our first client. And so in 2015, we started Lobaki. At that time, I was in Boulder, Colorado. He was in Wellington, New Zealand. And so we both put headsets on, and the only avatars we could find were panda bears. So 2 panda bears on a beach in the ocean formed Lobaki in the metaverse, and that's how we started. And then, like I said, through a series of very interesting happenings, we ended up in Clarksdale. I ended up in Clarksdale in January 2017, and we opened up the Lobaki office there in June of 2017, and then we moved to Jackson here last October.
Where did the name Lobaki come from?
Yeah, well, that's a interesting question, because if you try and Google Lobaki, about the only thing you get is us.
Yeah.
So, naming a company these days is a challenge.
Yeah, for sure.
You almost got to just take a Scrabble set and throw the letters down, and however they come out, that's what you call your company, to try and get a URL and all that. But Josiah and I saw the promise of virtual reality, as you stated earlier, to be used in mental health areas, relieving anxiety, really going after pain addiction and things, pain pill addiction and things like that. VR is an amazing meditative, relaxing experience if you use it that way.
Of course.
And so it turns out when we were researching the names that the Lobaki is actually a Tibetan spirit guide for health and well-being.
Oh, okay.
And we found that in a book someplace. And we checked it out, and nothing came up when you Google Lobaki, and we said, score! And now the only thing that comes up when you Google Lobaki is us and a few people who have names like that, which is really interesting.
Wow, that's good. It's really smart to come up with a name that nobody else has come up with. Because usually times when you're looking for like a small company, it doesn't pop up.
Right.
Like the bigger ones pop
Yep,
up.
exactly.
So,
or you got to put some weird dash in there or some other thing, and so it just doesn't work. But yeah, if you Google Lobaki, we're what you get.
Very nice. So now we're going to start talking about virtual reality in general. So,
Okay.
virtual reality is starting to become very common, People are starting to develop more and more games. Before, it was just like you had Beat Saber, and then you had a couple of games that were really bugged. But now, people are starting to make virtual reality games on a daily basis. Starting to come out, especially with, Five Nights at Freddy's. When they came in VR, it was huge, So now people are starting to see the benefits of making games in VR. So now that it's more common, what do you think are the possibilities of it in the future? Because as you were saying before, it was really bad. Now it's starting to get better. So what do you think is the future?
Well, I think if you talk to the early developers of VR, and especially like Palmer Luckey from Oculus, the one who came up with Oculus. I mean, their focus was gamers. That's who they were going after. So I expect VR is going to be huge in the gaming arena and just get bigger and bigger. But obviously what we're focused on is where it's being used in industry and healthcare and education. And we monitor this every single day, and I just see it growing and growing and growing, especially with our efforts in the education arena. I mean, we've probably put this year alone, we've probably put 250 VR headsets in schools around the South. Right.
Wow.
So we're getting more and more people into VR, faculty into VR, people thinking about virtual reality and how you deploy it. But I think it's going to grow in all those sectors. It just works so well. If you talk about, like, you look at what some of the automotive sector's doing with it, they're bypassing CAD and clay and doing their new car design in virtual reality, because a bunch of them can get in headsets around the country and they all end up in a room together, and they can design a full-scale car. So you don't have to do this little model and then do a bigger model and a bigger. You just build the whole car full scale, and then grab any chair and you're sitting in the driver's seat, and you can see how the dials work and where everything's situated and make decisions so much faster. And then aircraft manufacturers, helicopter manufacturers, they're all adopting VR for this new vehicle design. They're saving millions of dollars doing this. So I see this going in a lot of different areas very quickly.
So it'll become almost like the next cell phone, almost like it's just going to be in every household.
I think it's the next computing platform. It really is. If you think about, one of the conversations we have regularly is around telehealth and counseling. And being able to put on a headset, and for you and I to get together like this regardless of where we are, there's a real sense of presence when you're in the metaverse, they call it,
definitely.
In a headset. And I see that just being ubiquitous here in not too many years. And so I think VR is the next computing platform, if you will, like the smartphone was the next computing platform.
When do you think it'll be like the next thing? Like, how far away in the future?
Years. Just years. It'll be, already the two real game-changing headsets right now are the Oculus Go and the Oculus Quest. The Oculus Go is a $200 VR headset, but it's a real VR headset. It's not with a phone strapped to your face or something like that. The visual quality is extensively good, right? And the audio is super good. The Quest that just came out 10 weeks ago is the real game changer, because that's full 6-DoF virtual reality.
Wow.
And they're not even able to produce them fast enough now. If you go out to buy one today, you can get it from Best Buy or Amazon. It takes 2, 3, 4 weeks to get it, because they can't produce them as fast as people are buying them. Yeah. And of course, we're introducing people to VR all the time, and everybody I put in this headset, the next thing they do is they order one off of Amazon. This is $400 for a complete VR system. So I think we're only years away before, it's just like, hey man, grab your headset, come on over, we'll do the boxing thing or whatever.
Do you think virtual reality will take over like every other gaming system, like Xbox and PlayStation, or do you think it'll just be another, like you got Xbox, PlayStation, and then virtual reality?
Yeah, I think it'll be, it would be quite a while. And I got a household full of gamers. So I've watched them over the last couple of years where we've always had VR available, and they have their favorite, PC games, primarily PC games. And I think they would love it if the mainstream PC games were in VR, because then they would probably go do it in VR. Because how cool would that be?
Definitely.
Right? You can be the character or be alongside of the character or whatever you wanted to do. I think it'll be a while before the big gaming studios build those top end games in VR, just because they can reach such a much broader audience building it for a PC. So I think changing to it being the gaming platform is probably going to be slower than the adoption of VR everywhere else in industry and healthcare and education. But once it reaches critical mass, I mean, just think of whatever your favorite games are. Where would you rather play it?
Yeah. The other day, actually, dungeon games, very common. I actually played one of those in VR. So you're actually the person. So you can do it in two modes. You can be it where you have a room and then you walk around the room as if you're playing in VR, in the dungeon. Right. Or you can play a small scale and you're just you can see the whole dungeon.
Oh,
and you can
cool.
So that was really interesting. So because I didn't know people had made games that that's a normal PC game.
Oh yeah.
But now that's already in virtual reality. So what's going to be next? So what are your thoughts on augmented reality? Because you mentioned that earlier. Yeah. It's sort of been around. It's sort of people haven't really done much with it. It's just you have a camera screen, like the Merge Cube. Yeah. So you just have a cube and you just put a little camera over it and it changes. Right. So what do you think are the possibilities of AR?
Yeah, I think augmented reality to really take off, because there's plenty of examples of augmented reality on your phone and on your iPad, but for it to be useful in any of the main industry, healthcare, or education sectors, it's got to be tied to a set of glasses. Because try and hold your phone up for 45 seconds. I mean, you can't, right? An iPad's even worse, right? So augmented reality is going to have to end up on a head-mounted display. Today, really, the two most prolific head-mounted displays out there is HoloLens, Microsoft HoloLens, and the Magic Leap. Microsoft is making huge headway with their HoloLens too. The U.S. Army bought $500 million worth of that.
So what does the HoloLens do? What is
So the HoloLens is a head-mounted display. So you put it on, you can still see everything around you, but it will project out here, actually 360, whatever you want it to. So practical applications, military is using it for situational awareness. When you're out in the field. Power companies are looking at it, so you've got the head-mounted display on and you can actually look at the lines and look at the street and see where all the lines are, the water lines and gas lines are, and those sorts of things. It overlays it, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it's getting data from a SCADA system someplace. In hospitals, they're experimenting with actually being able to bring in an MRI image when a surgeon's working on a patient and having it floating in front of them. They can still see the patient, but they've got it here and they can expand it and make it bigger.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, but it's going to, those AR HMDs are $2,000 and $3,000. So the only place that's going to get used right now is in industry. It's going to be a long time before you and I are walking around with AR glasses casually like we do with a smartphone. That's more years away than VR is, but AR has so many practical applications. I mean, in the not too distant future, I'll take a swag at this and say 5-7 years. AR will just be part of our lives too. We'll just have things floating around us all the time while we're sitting here talking to each other.
Wow.
I'll be looking up stats, moving my hands around, and I'll be seeing stats over here while I'm looking at you and reading them off. And
absolutely.
We'll get to if you've never seen it, it's a Spielberg film, goes way back, Minority Report with Tom Cruise. But you'll just have stuff out here, and we'll just be moving our hands around, and I'll actually grab a pane and I'll move it into your field of view, and then you'll be able to see it with your AR glasses. Yeah.
So that has more of what we see in the movies type.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
It's in our lifetime too.
Yeah.
Oh, you too. Yeah, man. In your lifetime, you're probably going to have the option for AR contact lenses.
Wow.
That would be.
They're already experimenting with them. So
that really is exciting.
So you'll just be bringing things. All the information in the world will be available wherever you are, just floating in space. Around you. Yeah. Will VR be utilized extensively in the future. Ready Player One, right? I mean, how do those kids go to school every day? They put on a headset and they went off to school.
Yeah.
And if you were studying the ocean, you were at the bottom of the ocean. And if you're studying Mars, you were on Mars. And if it was fantastic. Workers, it's already happening. People who are doing design work in VR or maintenance work in VR. I mean, it's already happening. It's just becoming a part of who they are and how they operate. So I expect to see headsets everywhere all the time and just commonplace like your cell phone and like your laptop. Yeah.
I guess I guess when people are like sick from school and they can't go, they just pop that thing on and then just go to class.
Yeah. You're not going to be able to give your classmates a cold anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably,
you won't be able to catch the flu from them. Yeah.
It's probably a positive thing because, a lot of times kids go to school even if they're sick.
Yeah.
And it's just like the worst thing you can do, but they have to. If they don't want to miss work.
Yep.
But then they just pop that thing on the future.
Yeah.
And it other kids won't get sick with that.
Yeah, and the neat thing is you'll still be going to school together, right? You'll see each other's avatars, and you'll have this sense of presence, and if you want to get together outside, great, but you'll be able to do that. I mean, if you think about our ability to work together, to learn together, to be together, utilizing VR, as opposed to filling up buses with students and running them back and forth and picking them up at 6:05 in the morning for a class that starts at 7:30 in the morning, and everything else that goes with this physical transportation. I mean, this is world changing.
I did not even realize the amount of gas that's gonna be saved.
That's
like that's gonna that's like a world that has changed. That is literally gonna change the world.
Right.